staying in contact. I'm London Mitchell. Each week, we take a few minutes to examine an issue in our community and introduce individuals working to address those issues. Admittedly, sometimes we do get into the weeds, but hopefully, you'll leave each installment with some food for thought and maybe the inspiration to roll up your sleeves and join an effort. It was 10 years ago this past summer that we heard on the morning news it was unsafe to use our tap water to drink, cook, or bathe. And the reason? Toxins from the green algal blooms on Lake Erie. It was indeed a crisis. And while we have taken steps to ensure our water is now safe to drink, the algal bloom problem still exists. The water can turn green every summer. For this installment, we return to our discussion with Sue Carter, a representative of Lake Erie Advocates. At a news conference I attended, Sue reminded us that even 10 years after the crisis, the waters of Lake Erie remain toxic.
Oh, we're here to let people know that the water situation is no better than it was 10 years ago when we had a crisis. Our drinking water has been fixed thanks to millions of dollars of our taxpayer money to clean it up, to fix it. But the lake has not been touched. We've only added 4 million more animals to poop in the water, and it's in the lake. The lake is as bad as it ever was. It is not corrected, and we're here to make people understand what the problem is. You've got to stop it at the source, and the source is the animal factory farm.
Sue Carter is a spokesperson for Lake Erie Advocates. I asked her to define this concept called a factory farm.
A factory farm is an animal factory. It's not a farm. It's not run by the farmers. Our issue is not with farmers. It's with factory farms which hold millions, well, it has to be thousands of animals. The animals are confined, they're in terrible conditions, and they do what animals do, poop and pee, which goes into lagoons, which because we live in a lake that's in a watershed, it drains into the watershed eventually. Now, we've cleaned the water, but the lake, if you're an environmentalist and you care about animals, if you want to swim, if you want a boat, if you want your dog to swim in the water, you can't do that because, again, the water is as polluted as it ever was, and instead of stopping the source 10 years ago, they've added 4 million. The issue is our politicians in Columbus and big agriculture and the Ohio EPA and the Farm Bureau don't care about Toledo or Lake Erie.
To me, this sounds like a job for the state legislature. Do you have any champions in Columbus?
I don't know about Columbus, but certainly in Toledo, our mayor, county commissioners, city council have always been on the side of the lake. But we live here. The other people I've mentioned are getting big money in contributions, and politicians get pretty big money from these organizations, and it's big business. So, yeah, they're going to still make money, and they have big business, but who gets to pay for it? Us in Toledo, Ohio, when all that big business runs into our lake.
All right, 10 years ago, I woke up in the morning to the unbelievable announcement, don't drink, don't bathe, don't cook with the tap water. Mm-hmm. Now you say we fixed that problem?
Oh, yeah. Right away, our city is so responsible. They fixed it, they've cleaned it, they know how to work with this. Our water has been safe since then. And the mayor says this and everybody else says this. I believe them because we're drinking it. However, we paid for that. Ohio didn't pay for it, the feds didn't pay for it, Toledo residents paid millions of dollars in tax money to make sure our water's clean. So yes, that water's safe. But everything else, the beautiful lake, is not safe for anybody to use.
So while we pay for the cleanup of our tap water, we don't have any legal authority or power to keep the lake clean?
Well, that's funny you should ask that because we have gone to the EPA to protest. We have sued the Ohio EPA. We have sued everybody we can think of to keep that clean, and we have lost those lawsuits. Right now, there's a lawsuit by our county commissioners at the EPA telling them to do the right thing, clean it up. It's still in the hands of the EPA. Now, we've sued them twice, and the thing they come back with is totally inadequate. It won't work. So the county commissioners are suing them one last time. We'll see what happens. But my guess is nothing's going to happen because it hasn't happened yet.
And your expectation for holding your Your little affair out here today?
This is a big affair, Lon.
Oh, okay.
And our expectation is to educate people. People need to know who's responsible and that it hasn't changed. People need to know what a factory farm is, why it's polluting us, and why it's wrong.
What do you say, though, to the farmers who have these factory farms who want to...
They're not farmers. They are businessmen. Farmers have farms. This is a factory. This is no different than a big factory that's running machinery. So we have nothing against farmers and agriculture. Our issue is with factory farms, which are businesses run by corporations that are polluting and mistreating animals and are mega businesses. And we say to people, you know, before this, you got your hamburgers and your hot dogs, right? These factory farms are new because we allowed them in. They've only been around for maybe 15, 20 years. We had hamburgers and hot dogs before because we had farmers raising the cows, and we didn't have factory farms. So there's no problem with farmers.
A lot of what we've talked about, Sue, is the water, drinking or bathing in it, those scummy algal blooms.
Yeah.
We haven't really thought about, what about those people who are on the lake shore or live near the lake shore and are breathing in the water or breathing in the air that comes over the top of those scummy waters?
Funny you should mention that, because I'm one of those. I've been living on the shores of Lake Erie for the last 35, 40 years. And right now there is a study at the University of Toledo, and they're going to start doing studies on anyone who has recreated on the water a lot or lived on the water to check how breathing toxic algae blooms might affect your health. We don't know yet, but doesn't it make sense? If your dog can't swim in it, why should you be breathing it?
I've covered this story with you and Mike for a long time, so I know you've got plenty of backup materials. Where can people get a hold of those materials to read for themselves what your concerns are?
Oh, absolutely, and we hope they do, because we have documented everything, and we've been doing this for a long time. So just go to lakeerieadvocates.org. We have tons of information on there that they can download. They can look at slideshows, presentations, documents. We'd be glad to have them check that out and get a hold of us.
That website address again is lakeerieadvocates.org. Sue Carter, your advocacy and concern is very real, no doubt about it. And your hope for those in attendance is?
Care about the animals, care about the most precious thing we have. It's Lake Erie. Our water is like gold, and we're mistreating it and we're harming it.
Also representing Lake Erie Advocates at the news conference was someone I have known for a very long time, former Toledo City Council member and mayoral candidate Mike Ferner, who has gained a reputation as being an advocate for many issues. But I asked him about this issue, Lake Erie. What is it about this issue that motivates him?
Well, a lot of it is because of the support for it. The members of Lake Erie Advocates, the coordinating committee that we have, we get anywhere from 10 to 30 people at meetings every month for the last 8 years. And so that's a big part of it. This is a big enough issue. Lake Erie's a serious concern, obviously, and it has touched a lot of people. Not enough, a lot more people are going to have to demand better, but this has really been something that people have stuck with and decided they're going to put some time and energy into.
And what, Mike Ferner, is your message for those in attendance today?
Well, a couple of the banners that we have here say it pretty well. Lake Erie is not a toilet for factory farms. That's one. And who voted for green water? The fact that the public was not involved in any of the decisions that created the factory farm industry. We didn't need them. They weren't even around before 1995, and nobody waited in line at Kroger's for milk or meat or eggs. But it was figured that a few people could make a lot of money by this kind of livestock agriculture. And so our tax money went to subsidize it, and bang, there we are. And it didn't matter if it was going to kill the lake or not. So, there's a democracy issue involved with this, too.
All right. You say it is a democracy issue. Now, we elect our government, The government creates agencies such as the EPA, but in your opinion, why hasn't the EPA become more aggressive on the issue?
Because the agricultural industry was successful in just the same way the agricultural industry was successful in making sure that farm workers weren't included in the labor bills. They made sure that farm pollution was not included in a lot of the environmental regulations. And it's a powerful lobby, and they've had their way. And they have managed to get tax money diverted like crazy to creating and subsidizing factory farms. And that's why this is a democracy issue. You know, people are going to have to get informed and get angry and start raising hell, or this is not going to change.
Mike Ferner is with Lake Erie Advocates. The website address for more information is lakeerieadvocates.org. That's our program for this week. I'm London Mitchell. You can contact me through my webpage, londonmitchell.news. And please, join us again next week as we continue staying in contact.
Previous installments of Staying in Contact with London Mitchell are available on Amazon Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Podbeam, Podchaser, the Stream 419 app, and londonmitchell.news.